In this video, I'm going to simplify email deliverability in a way that most people can't because they don't really understand the topic as well as I do. Because I've been an engineer for 15 years, I've built this stuff from scratch, I know how this thing works, and I will break it down for you so you can get your emails in the inbox. And you should be getting your emails in the inbox because emails are the best way to increase customer LTV by any measure of the imagination. And you want to do that if you want to run a creator business that's actually profitable. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Jordan Parker. This is my favorite business. I'm currently helping creators build their own business. And this is going to be the foreseeable future, the next 5, 10, 15 years of my life. So you want to join in Creator Income. It's where I'll be sharing all of the great stuff. And it's an email newsletter that gets in your inbox. Wow, I know. Anyway, so this comes from a Reddit post, Reddit reply that I wrote a while ago. It's been like 2-3 weeks. And I will go through this point by point. If you don't have the time, you can basically just skim this and you'll get the gist, but I will go into more detail in the video so you understand this truly and deeply, so you're not really confused by any little thing that happens, because that's the biggest problem. People have one thing go wrong and then they go crazy and everything is weird and strange. So first of all, we have several components in sending emails. Like, sending emails is a very complicated process. It's way more complicated than most people think. So first of all, we have a source of the emails. We have somewhere that the emails are coming from. In this case, or in any case, this is some sort of a server. A server is just a computer that doesn't usually have a screen. It just does stuff for other people and so on and so forth. So the thing is, every single computer on the internet has their own address, so we can contact them and send them information. That's how the internet works, and that's called an IP. So depending on what your server IP is, so what server you're using to send, you will get a different level of deliverability. If your server is known to send good emails, then you're good. Everything is cool, everything is jazzy. Your emails go to the inbox, everyone is happy, children are singing, there's angels and everything. But that's not always the case. That is because there are a lot of email providers and not all of them know how to set their email infrastructure correctly. So use one of the email providers that you should use, one of the bigger ones or one of the ones that I recommend. I have a video on that if you want to see that. And focus on like using reliable providers. They will provide the IP for you. There are ways you can do this yourself, but you shouldn't, because it is horribly complicated for most people and it's usually not worth the effort. If you're sending a very huge number of emails, it might be worth considering at a very, very, very later stage, but people are sending millions of emails through good email platforms and they're fine. So use their IPs, because what they have is a lot of reputation pre-built for you. So depending on how big of a platform you pick and how reliable of a platform you pick, you get their reputation, which is amazing for you because you join there and you basically get to inherit all of the work they did. So that increases your deliverability, which is absolutely fantastic. There are some limitations to that because a lot of the email platforms are just using a third-party provider, so we're all sharing like a bunch of IPs, but they're usually all right. So next, the second part is who is claiming the responsibility, the ownership for those emails. So whenever you're sending emails, they're coming from someone. It comes from your name at somewebsite.com. And this is the second very important point. Now, there are two ways you can do this. You can send this from the platform's email, so it can come from, I don't know, something at Beehive, and then it can also say your name. This is when Beehive sends the emails from their inbox, from their domain as well. So their inbox is on their IP, and they have their domain. A domain is simply a website, what you would think as a website. Let me do this. And so if we go to google.com/ I don't know, something, question mark, tests equals 1, whatever. So a lot of domains that you see online will look like this. When people say domain, they usually mean the top level domain, which is this thing here. It is everything before the first dot is called a subdomain. This is where you see this www. This is an archaic thing. Like, this isn't necessary in any way or form. People still use it because, I don't know, maybe they find it cool, but this isn't necessary. This is the actual domain. This is the name of the website, and then we have this extension thing, which is those are limited. Like, you can't write whatever you want. There's a certain set of them. The most popular one, of course, is .com. And then we have slash. This is just a path. This is like the folder path on your computer, so you have a folder inside of a different folder and so on. This works in a similar way, although people can customize it and change it to work in whatever way they want. And finally, this is the path here, and here we have this question mark. This question mark means that the rest are parameters. So in this case, we have test equals 1. So that means the parameter named test has the value of 1. Here you can see a lot of useful stuff. So for example, the user searched for this text, or maybe the video starts at this time, and so on and so forth. So this is a way we can change the page subtly by introducing a little bit of extra data, so the user gets exactly the experience they want. Here you can also see stuff like a hashtag and then a heading. So when you open the web page, you jump to the heading and so on. So there are certain things you can add on top of the final URL, so people can have an easier time. But for this thing, we're very much concerned with the domain and the extension. Those are combo. You can have the domain google.co, and I can have the domain google.com. And this is very common, and those can be owned by completely different people, completely different companies. You're not seeing, but those two can be owned by completely different people and completely different companies. It doesn't matter. This thing is a unique domain. This is a different unique domain. This could be .net. It doesn't matter at all. Like, those are separate. If you go to any domain registrar, I like pork bun, and when you search for a domain, you will search for my name is awesome, although this might be taken, to be honest. And you can see all of the suggestions are with a specific extension. That's important. So when you make your website, you will buy one of those, you connect that to your website, and you might want to connect this, which is especially useful at the start of your email list. And in general, I suggest it is just harder to change it midway, but you will connect one of those to your emails, so your emails will come from your name at whatever domain you purchase. So this domain is actually useful and very, very important, because your domain is part of your deliverability, and your reputation in general. So if Google and Gmail and Gmail, Yahoo, and Apple Mail, whatever, are used to you sending emails to this domain, sending emails that are nice and credible, that people like and enjoy, then it allows more of those emails, which is exactly what we want. So the more you send from your domain, the better your emails, and the better people react for your emails, the better deliverability you get. This is cool. And what the concern is when you're using the built-in one, so ConvertKit, Beehive, what else we have? Active Campaign. This is very shitty, don't use it. MailerLite, Bento, Loops, any of the email softwares you can use, they all provide you with a version. They usually provide you with a version of sending to their own infrastructure without having your own domain. This is generally not a terrific idea, in my opinion, because when you send through someone else's infrastructure, you're sending from their domain, and they're saying, hey, this is from this person's, this person is actually sending this. And even though this is acceptable, this is still penalized a little bit in terms of deliverability, because direct emails are always the most powerful ones, because everyone can send from any one of those platforms and claim to be anyone else. So we don't want that, and email platforms don't want that, and because of that, they will very likely diminish your reputation if you're not using your own domain. And when you're using your own domain, then we have a different thing, which is your domain needs to have some sort of history to send emails. So that's kind of like you need job experience to get the job, and you need a job to get a job experience. It's kind of like that. It's not very fun, but there is a solution, don't worry. So what's happening is when you buy a new domain, it doesn't have any reputation. So what you need to do is something called warming up the domain. And the idea is, if you buy a domain that like Google, Yahoo, any one of the platforms have not seen ever before, and you send 25,000 emails in the same day, probably in the same hour, from this domain, then you will immediately get flagged as spam, because that is very, very weird. Usually, when people go out and purchase a domain, which is like $10 a year, so very cheap, and send 25,000 emails in a day, they're not doing this because everyone consented to their email list. They're doing it because they're spamming. So this is a big ass red flag, and that's not a good idea. So what good email providers do is they warm up your domain. That means they send emails over time. They slow down the sending. They might split the sending between their own domain and your domain, and they in general ease your domain into people's inboxes. Once that process has been done once, and once you reach a sufficient number of people in their inboxes, then we get to the next step of deliverability, but then you're safe and everything is fine. Most good email platforms will do this for you, but you should still check if they have that feature. If they don't, there are third-party services that can help warm it up, or you can even do it by yourself. You can fragment your list, you can segment your list, and get a smaller segment of your users, preferably some of your best users. So you track how people behave, you see how many people buy, and you send an email to your buyers from your own domain. And your buyers are the people who are most likely to open and read your emails and click links, and they're the people that you want to warm up with, because they'll be super active compared to a normal user. So you do this, you send to your buyers, you send a few emails to your buyers, then you can expand the list to people with high open rates, and then finally you can start sending to everyone. It is something that you can very much do by yourself, but in general it is useful and convenient if the platform does it for you, and most good platforms will do that for you. But we get to the next very important component, which is what to have in your emails. Like, what the fuck are you sending? If you're sending good stuff, if you're sending interesting information, that is cool, but how are you presenting that information? And you'll get to the interesting information. That's the last part, and that's probably the most important thing in general when it comes to email marketing. But for deliverability, it is not as important as how are you packaging this, because email marketing, our defenses against email marketing are pretty shitty, which means that a lot of the platforms have very outdated tech, and they're looking at very stupid shit. And a lot of the email software, and by a lot I mean every email software, and email in general is a very, very old technology. I think it's from the 80s or 70s. I have no idea. It's super old, and this creates a lot of problems. So stuff like images that we're very used to, sending them on social media, putting GIFs everywhere and all of that, those are not great for deliverability. Having a big ass email that contains a bunch of images is a problem, because you can use images to track people. Images can contain viruses. It's a very edge case, very rare, but technically possible. The more stuff, the more fanciness you have in your emails, the lower your deliverability. The best deliverability you will get for emails, I said deliverability a lot, I know, the best deliverability you get in emails is just a plain text email. This is like no images, no nothing, no formatting, nothing fancy, like just a plain text email that will just crush it in terms of deliverability. Like, this is the best possible way you can hit inboxes. Of course, those look very dull. So we even copywriters who are saying send plain text emails are have no idea what they're talking about, because even their plain text emails are just emails that have the vibe of plain text emails, but they're actually styled, because non-styled emails are a complete mess, and pretty much no one wants them. So minimizing your styling can be useful. Sending fewer images, especially early on, can be very useful. Basically, reducing the number of links. Most spam emails do contain links, so making sure you have fewer links. And the hardest part, which is where everyone fails, because it is very difficult to succeed there, and because email marketing vendors are absolutely insane. And actually, email inbox providers are absolutely insane. It's not email marketing vendors. There is a bunch of words you can't say in an email. And some of them you really can't say, and some of them you kind of can say, but only kind of. So they're a bunch of trigger words for all of those, safety, anti-spam algorithms that are designed to trigger them, and when you say one of those words, that increases the suspiciousness of your email, and the more of them you use, the more suspicious your email is. So sometimes if you're talking about ponies, for example, you will not think that you might ever say one of those words, because or sentences, but you will, because they are very stupid and made in such a ridiculously weird way that it is very easy to say one of them because they're just normal words. And you think it's like, buy this, instant promotion of that. And yeah, those are flagged, of course. But there's stuff like, get this, or very basic questions that can get flagged as this, and it can be a very big pain if you have too many of those in your email. And that frankly depends more on your style of expression and writing, more than what are you doing in the email, because even in sales emails you don't necessarily need to just fill them with promo code, buy. Like that's not how people write, and everyone is getting punished because of a small minority of people who just wrote very shitty emails with very poor English. And yeah, so this is something that you cannot solve completely. This is something that you can reduce the impact of, because there is no reliable way of knowing every single one of them. But there are decent ways. So I think that there was this email checker, email meteor, I think. It was the name of the service that provided this. Yes, this one. No, this is the spam checker. Spam email checker we need. Yes, this one. All right, so here you can see one such tool. There's a lot of those tools, so don't fret if this one is not your liking, or if this one closes doors tomorrow, it doesn't matter. There's a bunch of those tools, but the point is you can open one of those spam checker tools and see which one of your emails can trigger those spam filters. And you can see if you say the word guaranteed, and like you might want to guarantee if people buy something, you give them their money back. But sometimes you might just say, drinking more water every day works, I guarantee it. And then you still get the same punishment, even though it is absolutely nonsensical to do so. So you see that here we have a lot of words that are flagged. You don't do this for every one of your emails. That would be absolutely crazy and absolutely unnecessary. But for the first few emails, when you started sending from a new place, go through such a tool. Make sure that your spam scores are low, like your overall score here is high, and the chances of you getting in spam is low. Because that would basically set the trajectory for the rest of your emails. It makes life so much easier. So use a tool like this, especially like first 3 emails. That's it. Don't need to be fancy. They will be a little bit drier. They won't be as good, but it will be worth it in the long run, because once you set up your deliverability, things usually tend to be pretty steady. You'll get a dip sometimes during the year because everyone goes crazy with email. So on Black Friday, you stop your open rates and spam rates. Your open rates will go down, spam rates will go up. That's normal because people just receive a billion emails every single second. That's okay. Everyone gets extra careful there. It's not you. It's COVID. Not COVID. It is Black Friday, which is very similar to COVID, as in people go in a tiny enclosed space, and it's not very good for them. Anyway, let's get to the next part, which is the most important part for your business, and also very important for deliverability. But I would prioritize the other ones before that, because the other ones are like, you can do the other ones even if you're a monkey. Like everyone can do the other ones, and everyone can make sure that those work. The last one, you'll need to spend time and effort and energy into learning the skill. This is not something you can just sit down and master in a day. This is something you have to work for. But the last one is, what do people do when they read your emails? And that is how good your emails are. If you send good emails that get people to reply to them, use the new liking feature in Gmail, forward to other people, open regularly, and click links into, this is a massive boost in your deliverability, because it tells Gmail, Yahoo, whatever, that hey, this person is legit. They're sending emails that people actually want, and this is exactly the idea of those filters. They need to remove the emails that people don't want. So it makes a lot of sense. Now, this is very, very powerful, and this is very, very hard to learn. Like, you will need a lot of time to actually learn this. But there is a trick that I'll share in a bit about how you can use this to actually boost your rates a little bit more, even before you master the skill completely. And we'll get there. All right. So one big question is, should you use your own domain to send emails? I think yes. This makes you more credible. This makes your business more credible, and that unties you from any single email provider, because a lot of what you're doing, like from your domain to your content of emails to how, like, what exactly people do after reading them, this is under your control. The IP you're sending is under the control of the email vendor you picked, and you want as many of those to be under your control, because that means you can fix them and make sure they work, or make sure that a person on your team can make sure they work. But if you don't have this, then they have control over this, and you always get a little penalty for deliverability. You in general want to stay in control and do things the right way. And I also have an amazing hack for this last one, how you can get insanely high boost in deliverability. Very easy. Usually you can do it in 1 to 2 campaigns, and very effectively. And for this one, I will refer you to my video over there, I think, or there. It should be there, but I think it can be there as well. Anyway, you will see a video on the screen. You click that, and that will give you my best deliverability tip. And this is exactly about this last part on what you send in your emails. And I've managed to get email lists who got 10% open rates to 40% open rates with 2 emails. It is insanely powerful. So yeah, go check that one out as well. And I hope this was useful. Bye. And join Creator Income. It's amazing.